Can you hear this? I hope you can, because if you do, then that means that the problems I had with the last video have been resolved, and I can resume doing live commentary. So, with that being said, there was something that I talked about in the last video in live commentary that I didn't in the post-commentary. I dropped a word about it in the post-commentary, and that was that GameFAQs thread I referred to in part 74 about how, oh my god, Ridiculous is getting banned! And as it turns out, one of my viewers kindly reported that my inkling was right, and it was a Smogon bashing thread through and through, and apparently Smogon is banning such and such has become a meme on GameFAQs, which is not fair, to say the least, because those players who complain about that kind of stuff usually aren't good enough to even begin to understand what makes a Pokemon broken or not. For them, the number one criteria has to be, it has to be a legendary. Or maybe Wobbuffet, because that one was easier to understand in Generations 3 and 4. But otherwise, if it's not a legendary, you're gonna have a hard time convincing the GameFAQs noobs that it's worth being banned. Because, yeah, according to those people, it seems like base stat total is the only factor that should ever be accounted for in that kind of argument. Typing doesn't matter. Move pool doesn't matter either. Probably because you can't quantify those things, whereas the base stat total is a cold, hard number, and even there, all Pokemon with the same base stat total and even equal move pool aren't equal to each other, because it also depends on how the stats are spread. For example, just look at the Deoxys forms, for example. Same typing, same base stat total, and same move pool. However, the Fire Red and Ruby Sapphire forms are uber, while the Emerald and Leaf Green forms aren't. So that's just to give you an idea of how important even something like the stat spread is. So basically, those GameFAQs people don't know what they're talking about, and they're just bashing on Smogon for the hell of it. Do I smell some envy? And another kind of senseless bashing that I really have a problem with is that it makes them look like they're really, really ban-happy and quick on the ban hammer. That is not the case. Sorry to burst your bubble if you thought that was the case, but that is simply not true. If they were even a tenth as ban-happy as they were depicted as, Latios and Excadrill would have been banned a long time ago. Not to mention, as I pointed out in part 74, right now we have a shorter ban list than what we had in Generation 4, far shorter ban list in fact, and it could quite possibly be the final ban list, at least for a while. So, what the hell? And while we're talking ban lists here, and their length and all, I just want to mention, because this supports my argument, and therefore I have to mention it, that they had a vote at the very beginning of Generation 5 as to which ban list they should start with for the suspect test. And they had several options. One of them was no ban list, which is sort of makes no sense because there are at least going to be some Ubers, at least some of the ones we have right now. And there was another option that was like the shortest logical ban list possible, which was made of Mewtwo, Arceus, and all the cover legendaries. Well, except Suicune, obviously. And also, well, there's Kyurem, if you want to count it as a cover legendary, even though the third version hasn't been announced yet. Okay, there's this corner here. Let's see if there's anything there. And this time, yep, there is a Stardust. Now there's this Galactic Grunt here, who's blocking the path to, the area of Mount Coronet that, okay. Well, I didn't remember that, but now that I've seen his dialogue, I remember that this guy only goes away after you've dealt with, your cover legendary. In this case, it's going to be Giratina, so I can't go in there until after I catch Giratina. But yeah, this was the segment of Mount Coronet, as I said, that connected Eterna and Celestic, so, well, no shortcut back to Eterna or Celestic for now. There's nothing in there. There were a lot of spots in this room that may have looked suspicious, but ultimately there was nothing in there. Maybe there's more to it than that, but I'm not about to check every single space of that place just to find hidden items, even though the item finder in this game is a lot more user-friendly than in other games. No, I'm just not going to bother because my LPs are already long enough as it is with me fighting every battle and all. I don't need to be hunting down every single invisible item in the game either. But yeah, as I was about to say, it's that shortened ban list that won out. And, you know, it would have been really tempting to just start out with the Generation 4 ban list and just add Reshiram, Zekrom, and maybe even Kyurem on there. But I'm happy that they didn't choose the easy path and actually bothered testing all those legendaries that fell down in a Generation 5 environment. Some of them were broken, like, for example, Darkrai and Sky Shaman. Some of them, though, are settling quite well into overuse. Like, for example, the most obvious example is Mew. There's also Salamence and Garchomp that were brought back down. Nowadays, they're not uber material, definitely not. They're just excellent, overused Pokemon. And, by the way, oh my god, this room. I told you we were gonna spend a long time here. We're almost at the 7-minute mark, and I'm just about to get out of it. Let's see. Yeah, 7 minutes spent in this room in this video alone, and we spent a few more minutes in the last video, so it was 10 minutes for one single room. Super. And okay, oh, there's a Moonstone in there. Well, okay, what evolves in a Moonstone that's in the Sinnoh Dex? I know there's Clefairy, but other than that, I think none of the others are there. It's used to evolve Nidorina, Jigglypuff, Skitty, and also Munna as well. But Munna isn't in this game, and the rest of them are only in the National Dex. But they are all in the game, only in the National Dex, because in this game, Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, they made it so that every non-starter, non-legendary is in the game and obtainable somehow. Well, there are exceptions. There are the obvious version exclusives, and there's also Tangela and Tropius, which weren't in Diamond and Pearl. Maybe you could just consider them Platinum version exclusives. But, yeah, there's a way to obtain everything that's not a starter or a legendary in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. It's sort of a shame that they did away with that for Generation 5, because I'll admit that in Hard Gold and Soul Silver, they had a really very, very good system for a Safari Zone, but they just didn't use it. They could. There are a lot of Pokemon that aren't found at all in Black and White, except for the Dream World. So I think, sticking them in a Safari Zone would have been a good idea. A Safari Zone similar to that in Hard Gold and Soul Silver, because I really like the formula of that one, and I thought it would become the standard in future generations. But oh well, maybe there's always the deluxe version, and if not, maybe Generation 6, because there are going to be even more Pokemon in that one. Between 750 and 800, probably, so we're going to need a way to catch a decent amount of those Pokemon. Anyway, you're probably sick of Mount Coronet right now because I've been climbing it for over a half hour worth of footage, and oh, we got an energy route here. Well, as I said, it always pays off to check those spots that don't have grass. But I am glad to announce that this is the home stretch. We're not going to see any more mountain passes. It's just the last cave before the Spear Pillar. And now see Medicham. I'm going to switch to something else, Togekiss in this case, because my Lucario can't kill it in one hit with Dark Pulse, which is the move with the best chance of one-hit KOing it, but it can't. And it's a bit surprising because Medicham is not known for its high defenses. The only thing it's known for is pure power, which gives it the highest attack stat in the game, but even there, it's not a very popular and used Pokemon, and for very good reason. Its defenses are paper thin, and it just doesn't have the speed that is needed to back up the highest attack stat in the game. But anyway, about the problems I had in the last video, there were a few of you who thought that the problem was with the commentary, because, well, I don't know what would lead you to think that, but that wasn't the problem. The problem was purely with recording the video itself, because I tried capturing less frames per second, because right now I'm recording at like 100 while the game is only 30, so I tried lowering that because I was wondering how people could get such low file sizes on like 15-minute videos, because right now for me, the files that Cam Studio outputs are almost a gigabyte big, so it's not very good, especially considering Cam Studio can't do files any bigger than 2 gigabytes, so I was wondering how people could do that, so I tried lowering the frames per second, and it's not like I lowered them by all that much either. Right now I'm recording at 100, I lowered it at 80, so that I could capture a game that runs at 30 frames per second, and Cam Studio hated me for it, because hello, massive desync, 40 seconds in a 15-minute video. That was unacceptable. So fine, 100 frames per second it is then. And on that note, we're approaching the distortion world. Now, as I said before, I'm sort of worried that the emulator might not be able to handle it, or a save file inside the distortion world. So, I'm not taking any chances. After I'm done recording this video, I'm going to back up my save file just in case. And, you know, I might be able to wait until the next one, because let's face it, Spear Pillar is a tiny place, but I'm going to spend a lot of time there because of all the dialogue and the cutscenes and stuff. So, yeah, I'm not going to take any chances. I'm going to back up my stuff at the end of this video, and if I still haven't entered the distortion world at the end of the next one, I will perform another backup then. But for now, I'm just going to stay on the safe side and back up my save file as soon as I'm done recording this video. Now then, I don't think there are going to be any problems for me when it comes to that, because I've seen footage, emulated footage of the Dream World on YouTube. The Dream World? The Distortion World, sorry. I'm an idiot. But yeah, I've seen some emulated footage of that, and they didn't seem to have any problems at all. Now, the only problems they had was that they had trouble solving the puzzles. And I will concede that those are pretty tricky puzzles, because you're going to end up walking on walls and on the ceiling and stuff. And there are also elevators that look like any other platform. So, yeah, it's just a gigantic mindfuck. So, for those of you who played either Diamond or Pearl but not Platinum, this is going to be an entirely new site for you, unless you've seen other LPs of this game. But, yeah, for those of you who've never seen the Distortion World before, are there any of you in the audience who've never seen the Distortion World? Because I would really like to know that, to see if I'm going to be showing anyone something new here. So, okay, I'm going to be fighting this one last wild Pokemon, Bronzong, of course, it figures. And after that, I'm going to stop it for now because I don't have time to fight the Galactic Grunt that's just ahead before time runs out. So next time on Pokemon Platinum, this is where the crap is going to hit the fan. We're going to fight for the fate of not one, but 2 universes.